Hello, my cinnamon rolls. Today I have two butt-clenching stories. This first story is in 2016 in Fort Worth, Texas. A woman named Caitlin Gomez Orozco went missing after leaving her home to visit a relative. At first, it looked like a possible disappearance with no clear direction. Her family immediately reported her missing, and the community began searching nearby areas. Hours later, investigators found a disturbing lead. Her phone had last pinged near a home not far from where she was staying. Attention quickly turned to Isaac Perez, who was connected to that location. He initially claimed he had no involvement and tried to distance himself from the timeline investigators were building, but digital evidence told a different story. Phone records and location data placed him near key points at the exact time Kayla disappeared. Surveillance footage from nearby areas also helped confirm movement patterns that didn't match his statements. When confronted with the inconsistencies, his story began to fall apart. Investigators later recovered additional evidence that tied him directly to the case, leading to his arrest and conviction of murder. A case that started as a confusing disappearance was ultimately solved because the timeline didn't lie, and the digital trail couldn't be erased. This next story was also solved by digital evidence. In 2019, in Gresham, Oregon, a woman named Michelle Hellickson was found dead in her home. At first, it looked like there had been a break-in. The scene was disorganized, and investigators initially considered multiple possibilities. But things didn't add up. There were no clear signs of forced entry, and neighbors reported hearing nothing unusual that night. Police began looking closer at people who Michelle knew. Attention eventually turned to James Addy, who had been connected to her through personal ties. At first, he denied any involvement and insisted he had no reason to harm her, but investigators started building a timeline using his phone records, location data, and surveillance from nearby streets. That evidence began to show inconsistencies in his version of events. As pressure increased, additional details came forward that placed him near the scene when he said he was elsewhere. Eventually, investigators gathered enough evidence to make an arrest. He was charged and later convicted of murder. In court, the prosecution argued that the break-in scene had been staged to mislead investigators and delay identifying a suspect. The jury agreed. He was sentenced to life in prison. A case that initially looked confusing and random was ultimately solved by careful timeline work and digital evidence that couldn't be explained away.